When I had my heart attack, I was lying on the floor unable to move. I was afraid because I knew I was dying and there wasn't anything I could do about it. I won't bore you with the ride to the hospital and the treatments I received. Suffice it to say that I was overcome by the black veil of death. How ironic, that's exactly what it is. After I realized I was on the other side and my fear subsided a little, I realized that I had made a painless transition. Because you no longer feel the weight or trappings of your body, I was in total darkness that had put my panic emotion in overdrive. As I slowly began to acclimate myself to my surroundings, I could feel evil slithering and crawling in the darkness all around me. I had only one thought going on inside me, that they were looking for me. I was terrified and started looking for the light I thought was supposed to be there. I moved around as slowly and silently as possible looking for the light. I noticed it was lighter in one direction and started to move that way. When I felt extreme aggression emanating from the right with me, fearful of moving towards the light and highlighting myself with the light, I instead withdrew into the darker shadow and stayed still as I lay there listening to the scuttling and scurrying of all the evil feelings in the darkness around me. I tried to figure out what to do next. I knew if I moved from the amount of activity that was going on around me, I would be discovered. I was at my wit's end. When I said God help me, instantly everything around me went scurrying off in every direction, and that was when I felt it. It is a feeling of perfect love and trust, a feeling so strong that it could be felt so far away that traveling at supersonic speeds it would take half an hour to get there. The closer it came, the stronger the feeling became, until this immense feeling totally engulfed me in ecstasy so intense as to be unimaginable, for lack of better words, and lifted me by my elbows above the darkness, and away we went. Me being supported by two beings that felt better than a mother's breast to a newborn. I looked up at my benefactors and found that they were dressed in black gowns and had a screen over their faces that, if you looked closely, had a mirror-like substance that reflected your own image back at you. They were reassuring me through feelings and music that was like talking, only better than language. There is nothing to learn you can understand it totally. They stopped before something that I couldn't make out what, as it seemed that when I looked past them everything was out of focus. One of them opened up what was a giant tobacco sack made of suede leather. It was so soft. As she opened it, we all went inside and the sack closed over us. They then told me an immense amount of information in a split second. The gist of it was that this was my world and I controlled it and everything in it. I could bring anything I wanted into my world with no limits. It was mine to do with as I wished. The only rule was that if I removed something it could never come back. They then instructed me to picture in my mind a place where I felt safe. I did, and it developed right before my eyes. They then asked me if anything was wrong, and I saw a couple of things that were, and they instantly transformed, sort of like Mercury rearranging, until they were perfect. Then they left. I started to explore my new world from the comfort of my oversized recliner and was really relaxing, when suddenly they told me I had to go back to the other world for a while. I voiced my objections, but they firmly lifted me out of the pot and away we went. I looked around as we were leaving, as they said it was permitted for residents. I'm unable to describe what I saw for lack of language to describe it. I wanted to paint it for a time after I got back, but I lacked the talent to do so anyway. I was taken to a place where I could see my body through a black veil, and was shoved feet first through the top of my head back into my body. When I opened my eyes I was inside my body, which was in pain, and the doctor and a nurse were asking me if I knew where I was. The doctor told me that I may have some broken ribs and a dislocated shoulder among other things, and that I was on a balloon pump. It looked like I was going to recover some of my memories and functions damaged by oxygen deprivation. I looked down at my chest, and it was discolored and swollen to resemble a football under the skin on the right side of my chest. I was uncomfortable to say the least. I tried to move my right arm and heard this awful scream. I looked around and I was back behind the veil. Love and truth were there, and they asked why I was back so soon. Then they laid what looked like a chrome flashlight on my chest. It played a colorful tone. My chest went down, and they asked if there was anything else I would like other than returning to my pod, as I like to call it. I said no, and they told me it would be there waiting for me, and then I was back.